Why women don't apologize. Understanding the nature of the problem. Have you ever stopped to count how many times you've actually heard a woman say, "I'm sorry"? In today's deep dive, we're going to unravel a curious phenomenon. Why don't women apologize as often as men? It's a question that stirs up a cocktail of cultural norms, emotional intelligence, and the intricate dynamics of gender interactions. Join us as we peel back the layers of this mystery, exploring how everything from societal expectations to personal fears can shape this seemingly simple act. Is it reluctance, strategy, or something entirely different? Stay tuned, because we're about to explore the unspoken truths and challenge what we think we know about apologies and gender. Get ready for some eye-opening insights. But before we dive in, remember to like this episode and subscribe to the channel. It takes less than a second, costs you nothing, and it's a great way to help spread this message. Chapter 1. The Unspoken Expectations and the Burden on Men. In many cultures, there is an unspoken expectation that men should shoulder the blame for relational discord. This norm suggests that, even if he is not at fault, it is the man who should apologize to restore peace. But is this truly a fair or effective approach? Consider this scenario. You and your partner have a disagreement. Before the details are even clear, friends, maybe even counselors, might suggest that you, the man, should apologize to calm things down. This advice persists regardless of the conflict's specifics, often leaving men feeling confused and unfairly burdened. Why is the onus always on the man? This expectation can be traced back to traditional roles where men are seen as the pillars of stability and strength in relationships. However, this role can be both a privilege and a profound pressure, as it demands that men constantly manage not only their emotions, but also those of their partners. Now, reflecting on Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now." This quote invites us to consider whether our disturbance in conflicts is really about the issue at hand, or our judgments about our roles and expectations in these situations. Are we upset because of the conflict, or because we feel forced into a resolution that doesn't align with our sense of fairness? Psychologically, the demand placed on men to always be the peacekeepers through apologies can lead to suppressed emotions and unresolved personal grievances. This dynamic can diminish self-confidence and emotional intelligence, as men might feel that their feelings and perspectives are consistently sidelined or invalidated. Educationally, it's crucial to recognize how these patterns can affect relationships. By understanding that apologies are not just tools to ease tension but acts of genuine acknowledgement and resolution, we can begin to foster a more balanced approach to conflict resolution. Men should be allowed to express their viewpoints and seek mutual understanding, rather than defaulting to unwarranted concessions. In conclusion, while the intention behind advising men to just apologize might be to quickly smooth over disputes, it overlooks the importance of addressing the root causes of disagreements and can perpetuate a cycle of unbalanced relationship dynamics. This chapter sets the stage for exploring how both men and women can engage in more meaningful and equitable conflict resolutions in our upcoming discussions. As we move forward, let's keep in mind the importance of fairness and understanding in nurturing relationships. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where we will delve into the psychological and social factors that influence why women might refrain from apologizing. Chapter 2. Divergent Perceptions. Understanding gender differences in conflict resolution. Men and women have been noted to approach problems with distinct perspectives, particularly in emotional conflicts. Typically, men are observed to focus on the behavior itself as the root of the problem. For instance, if an argument arises from a forgotten anniversary, a man might see the act of forgetting as the central issue to be addressed. In contrast, women tend to view the emotional response as the problem. Using the same example, a woman might focus more on the hurt feelings and emotional distance created by the forgotten anniversary, rather than the oversight itself. This difference in focus significantly affects how each gender approaches solutions. While men might seek to correct the behavior, perhaps by setting reminders for important dates, women might prioritize addressing the emotional fallout, such as discussing the feelings of neglect that arose. This divergent approach can lead to misunderstandings and frustrations, as each partner may feel that the other is not addressing the real issue. Women, focusing on changing the emotional climate, might use strategies intended to soothe or mitigate emotional distress. These could range from empathetic conversations to gestures of affection, which might not directly address the initial cause of the conflict, but are intended to restore emotional equilibrium. Stoic philosophy offers a valuable perspective here. Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." This quote is profoundly applicable in our discussion, suggesting that the discord in perceptions itself can be more disruptive than the behavior or the emotional reaction. Understanding this can be crucial in navigating relationship conflicts more effectively. In practical terms, this means that when conflicts arise, it is beneficial for men to express why a behavior bothers them and to be open to discussing the emotional impacts with their partner. Similarly, women might consider directly addressing the behavior that led to the emotional response in addition to soothing the emotions involved. Appreciating these differing perspectives can significantly enhance relationship dynamics. By understanding and respecting these diverse approaches, both men and women can work towards more balanced and satisfying resolutions to conflicts. Chapter 3: The Psychological Barriers to Apologizing. Building on our understanding from the previous chapter about the different ways men and women handle conflict, we now turn to explore the psychological barriers that might prevent women from apologizing, examining how social pressures and emotional responses play significant roles. Apologizing requires a person to confront their vulnerabilities, which can be daunting. For many women, the fear of being perceived as weak or the potential for rejection after admitting fault can be intense. These fears are often amplified by societal expectations that women should always handle emotional matters adeptly, adding an extra layer of pressure that can make the act of apologizing seem like an admission of broader failure rather than a simple acknowledgement of a specific mistake. The emotional weight women place on relationships can also complicate apologies. In situations where a woman might already feel emotionally compromised, the idea of apologizing can feel like it would only increase her sense of vulnerability. This can lead to a defensive response. For example, a woman might assert her position strongly during a conflict but become overwhelmed with emotions like tears if pressed to apologize. This isn't merely about avoiding responsibility, but a profound fear of emotional abandonment or intensified criticism from her partner. Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches the strength in vulnerability, offers a valuable perspective here. Seneca once wrote, "It is a great man that can treat his earthenware as if it were silver, and a man who treats his silver as if it were earthenware is no less great." Applying this to our context, recognizing the strength in vulnerability, treating our emotional exposures with the casual acceptance that Seneca suggests we give to our material possessions, can help alleviate some of the fears associated with apologizing. From a psychological standpoint, viewing vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness can significantly alter how apologies are perceived and delivered. It allows for personal growth and confidence building, as facing our fears can lead to a more profound understanding and resilience in relationships. For women, embracing this aspect of Stoicism might mean learning to see apologies not as a defeat but as an opportunity to strengthen connections and foster trust. For women, learning to navigate these emotional barriers with the assurance that their feelings are valid and that apologizing can enhance, not diminish, their emotional and relational standing could be transformative. As we move forward, let's encourage an environment where both men and women feel secure enough to admit faults without fear of judgment or rejection. By fostering understanding and adapting our responses, we can build stronger, more resilient relationships that are grounded in mutual respect and personal growth. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where we will delve deeper into practical strategies both genders can employ to overcome these barriers and improve their interactions. Chapter 4: When apologies intensify rather than resolve. Imagine this. A woman apologizes for accidentally overcooking dinner. Instead of the issue being resolved with her apology, it spirals into a broader examination of her cooking skills. It's like pressing a button that says "I'm sorry" only to realize it's connected to a megaphone announcing "Open for feedback." This fear that an apology will not lay an issue to rest, but will instead open the floodgates to further criticism, is a significant barrier. Why does this matter? Because understanding this dynamic can transform how conflicts are navigated in relationships. For men in the audience trying to decode this aspect of their relationships, it's about creating a safe landing for that apology. Ensure that when she says sorry, it doesn't feel like she's just pulled the pin on a grenade of further critiques. Here's a pro tip. Next time an apology is on the horizon, why not pave the way for a smooth landing? Respond with grace. For instance, if she apologizes for being late, a simple "Thank you for letting me know, I appreciate your apology" can do wonders. Avoid adding a "but" or anything that feels like a backhanded thank you. Remember, "thanks but" often sounds more like "thanks but," and no one wants to be on the receiving end of that. It's crucial to consider not just the act of apologizing, but also the aftermath. Ensuring an apology doesn't feel like an invitation for a performance review can help make those hard-to-say words a little easier to utter. Let's keep building those bridges with understanding, and perhaps make sorry a little less daunting to say. After all, in the economy of words, a good sorry should be worth its weight in gold, not led to a minefield. Thank you for listening up to this point. The reward comes to those who are patient. Do you agree with our views? If so, comment with the number 1 and continue to discover the secrets that lie ahead. Thank you. Chapter 5. Defensive Fortresses and Psychological Ghosts. In the battlefield of boardrooms and business, where women often have to fight twice as hard to climb half as high, apologies can feel like waving a white flag. You see, when a woman has muscled her way through thickets of biases to carve out a space for herself, saying "I'm sorry" might feel like handing over the keys to the fort she's painstakingly built. In professional terms, this means maintaining your ground, not because you want to win, but because showing vulnerability might sometimes give others the chance to say, "See, she really doesn't belong here." There may be ghosts of apologies past. Let's say a woman once apologized for a genuine slip-up at work, expecting a little understanding. Instead, what she got was a week's worth of passive-aggressive comments and a few sidelong glances at the next team meeting. Now, if apologies have ghosted her before, leaving behind not peace but further conflict, can we blame her for locking them up in the attic of her mind? Navigating this minefield requires more than just stepping carefully. It involves changing the map. Men in leadership roles, partners, friends, really anyone invested in nurturing a constructive dynamic, can start by not just accepting an apology when it's given, but by reinforcing the courage it took to make it. For example, if a project mishap occurs and a female colleague steps up to own her part, counter the norm. Say something like, "Thanks for stepping up. Let's sort this out together." It's about turning "sorry you messed up" into "thanks for helping us fix this." Let's make apologies less about conceding defeat and more about winning together. Next time, we'll forge ahead into strategies that not only encourage saying sorry, but transform it from a moment of weakness into a badge of honor. Stay tuned and remember, in the game of apologies, the Queen doesn't necessarily need to move first, but she does need to know that it's safe to do so when it's her turn. So our Chapter 6. Fostering a supportive environment for apologies. Now, in Chapter 6 of our series, Why Women Don't Apologize, Understanding the Nature of the Problem, we shift our focus toward practical strategies for men to help create a relationship dynamic where apologies can flow more freely and constructively from both partners. The cornerstone of this approach is to cultivate an environment where apologizing is viewed not as an admission of deep-seated fault, but as a mutual understanding and respect for the relationship's health. To achieve this, it's vital that both partners understand that an apology does not signal abandonment, or invite criticism, but is a straightforward acknowledgement of an oversight or mistake. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that small things are what make up greatness. This wisdom can be applied directly to handling conflicts in relationships. Sometimes, the smallest gesture, like an apology, can greatly strengthen a bond. By teaching our partners and ourselves to see apologies as small but powerful tools for healing and clarification, we can remove much of the fear and weight they may carry. Since many women place significant importance on the emotional tone of a relationship, ensuring that emotional needs are met consistently is crucial. When a woman feels emotionally stable and supported, she is less likely to view a conflict as a potential abandonment or existential threat to the relationship. This sense of security can make it easier for her to issue apologies when she recognizes her fault, as she won't feel that doing so will jeopardize her standing or emotional safety in the relationship. It's also important for men to lead by example. By apologizing when you're wrong, you demonstrate that taking responsibility for one's actions is both reasonable and safe. This behavior sets a precedent and shows that mutual respect and accountability are valued. When both partners can apologize freely and without undue stress, it reinforces that apologies are part of how you maintain and improve your relationship, not a battleground for assigning blame. To further encourage an environment conducive to apologies, focus on open communication. Discuss the purpose and meaning of apologies with your partner, emphasizing that they are not about winning or losing, but about understanding and moving forward together. This conversation can help demystify the act of apologizing and underscore its role in a healthy relationship. Creating a supportive environment where both partners feel secure enough to admit faults is essential for a healthy relationship. By understanding and addressing the fears associated with apologizing and ensuring that both partners feel emotionally supported, you can foster a relationship dynamic characterized by mutual respect and open communication. Chapter 7. When actions speak louder than sorry. While the classic "I'm sorry" is a straightforward, no-nonsense admission of fault, many women tend to express remorse through a ballet of behaviors rather than spoken words. Ever noticed how after a disagreement some women might whip up your favorite dish? That's not just culinary skills at play, it's a recipe for reconciliation. Instead of saying "I'm sorry," she's stirring love into that spaghetti sauce, hoping to mend fences over a meal. This isn't just about feeding your stomach but nourishing the relationship. It's a kind of emotional comfort food that says, let's chew over our differences. Now, let's talk about turning up the heat. Not in the kitchen, but through physical closeness. Sometimes after a spat, a partner might not say sorry directly, but will instead be extra cuddly or affectionate. Consider this. A friend once told me that post-argument, his girlfriend gave him a long hug, which melted his frustrations away faster than ice cream on a sunny day. Here, warmth is not measured in degrees, but in genuine gestures of reconnection. To add a sprinkle of ancient wisdom, let's quote the Stoic philosopher Seneca, who famously said, "True generosity is a duty as urgently necessary as those imposed on us by law." Extending this to our discussion, the generosity of spirit shown through these nurturing actions can be as binding and healing as the most heartfelt verbal apology. It's about giving from the heart to repair the dents in the harmony of a relationship. These actions are not merely about distraction, but are deeply rooted in the belief that nurturing the emotional bond between partners can effectively address and heal the underlying issues. Recognizing these non-verbal cues requires a bit of translation. When a woman chooses actions over words, she's speaking in a dialect of deeds. It's crucial for men to learn this language, to see that when she knits you a scarf, she's not just crafting wool, but weaving her apology into each stitch. This strategy of using intimacy as a means of apology leans on the understanding that sometimes actions, especially those that foster closeness and affection, speak louder than words. It's a tacit acknowledgement of wrongdoing and a bid for forgiveness, enveloped in the warmth of physical connection. As we sail through these silent seas, remember, the absence of words doesn't mean the absence of remorse. By understanding and valuing these acts of reconciliation, we can foster deeper connections and richer understandings within our relationships. Let's remember that every action, every meal prepared, Every hug given has layers of meaning. These are the silent sonatas of apology, played out not in words but in compassionate acts. And remember, in the dance of relationships, sometimes actions can indeed speak louder than words. Let's keep our hearts open to all the ways someone might be saying they're sorry. Chapter 8. The Unspoken Power of I'm Sorry. In our last chapter, we explored the subtle art of non-verbal apologies and how actions can often speak volumes. But as we navigate the complex waters of relationships, a question emerges. If regret can be communicated through actions, is verbally saying I'm sorry still necessary? Let's delve into why, in many cases, these two simple words hold a power unmatched by any action. While actions can show care and consideration, the act of verbally expressing remorse has a unique, irreplaceable value. Saying I'm sorry does more than acknowledge wrongdoing. It verbally affirms the feelings of the other person, showing them that their emotions are recognized and valued. This verbal affirmation can bridge gaps that actions alone might not fully close. Why does sorry matters? There's a profound psychological impact when someone hears an apology. It can often be the key that unlocks forgiveness and begins the healing process. An apology acknowledges that an error was made and that the apologizer is taking responsibility for their part in the dispute. This acknowledgement can be essential for the injured party, as it often brings a sense of justice and closure that actions alone may not provide. From a Stoic perspective, Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Applying this to apologies, if an apology is due, it must be given, not just as an action but as a truthful expression of remorse. Stoicism teaches us the importance of integrity and honesty in all our actions and words, and apologizing sincerely when wrong aligns perfectly with these principles. While we've acknowledged that actions can communicate remorse, pairing these actions with words can create a more robust, comprehensive approach to mending fences. For instance, following up a kind gesture with a sincere verbal apology can reinforce the message that not only are you sorry, but you are also actively trying to make amends. This combination ensures that the message of remorse and the desire to improve are clearly understood. As we move forward, it's important to recognize that while actions are vital, the words "I'm sorry" carry a significant weight that can decisively shift the dynamics of a relationship towards reconciliation and healing. Understanding when and how to use this powerful tool can transform conflicts into opportunities for growth and deepening connections. Chapter 9. The Integrity of Apologies. Ensuring Sincerity. Apologizing is the best way to reconcile. Sometimes all it takes is an apology, but it shouldn't be just to brush things off. An apology should never be a quick fix or a means to simply brush off conflicts. When apologies become casual or thoughtless, they lose their healing power and can even exacerbate existing issues by making the recipient feel undervalued. It's essential to understand that the phrase "I'm sorry" carries weight. If it is used too loosely or without genuine intent, it starts to lose its meaning. Imagine a scenario where one repeatedly makes mistakes only to apologize cursorily each time. If apologies are delivered without real change, they can lead to a negative cycle where the word sorry provokes cynicism rather than comfort. For instance, if a woman repeatedly hears apologies from her partner for the same mistake without seeing any behavioral adjustments, she may develop a negative attitude towards these apologies. She might start to feel that these are mere lip service, not reflective of a true intent to improve or adapt. This perception might deter her from apologizing, as she may feel that it would only serve to trivialize the issue rather than address it effectively. In such a dynamic, she might believe that apologizing could reduce the significance of the problem, leaving the underlying issues unresolved and the emotional wounds open. Consequently, valuing and modeling meaningful apologies can help establish a foundation where both partners see the importance and effectiveness of saying sorry as a step towards genuine resolution and healing. Ensuring your "I'm sorry" is meaningful, rather than just another note in a parade of missteps, involves a few crucial steps. First, pause before you react. Take a moment to truly understand why you are apologizing and identify the real issue at hand. Next, tailor your apology to make sure it directly addresses the specific problem, ensuring it resonates with the situation. Then, go beyond just feeling remorseful. Actively adjust your actions to demonstrate genuine change. Finally, after you've made your apology, follow up by seeking feedback to confirm if there's more to be done, and if the harmony in the relationship has been restored. This approach turns a simple apology into a transformative tool for personal and relational growth. An apology is a powerful tool in relationships, but its power lies in its sincerity and the actions that follow. As we continue our exploration, let's remember that saying sorry is just the beginning. What truly matters is how we support those words with meaningful change. Let's aim for a proactive approach to understanding and addressing issues as they arise, maintaining the sanctity and effectiveness of our apologies. And there you have it, an exploration into the intriguing world of why women often hold back their apologies. We've uncovered that it's not just about reluctance, but involves a complex tapestry of cultural expectations, past experiences, and personal vulnerabilities. Whether it's the fear of escalating conflicts or a protective mechanism in professional settings, the reasons are as varied as they are profound. If this episode sparked new thoughts or resonated with your experiences, don't forget to like and share it. Your engagement helps us bring more such content. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to not miss out on our upcoming discussions. We value your comments and insights, so drop us a line below. Let's keep this conversation going. Thank you for joining us, and remember, every step towards understanding each other is a step towards better relationships for everyone.